This is Husky Mag.
Welcome to the 4th episode of Husky Mag. I'm Jeremy Lagos, and alongside me is Madison Golden. Now, Madison, it's getting a little frigid outside.
Yeah, it is, Jeremy. I think it's time to start putting away those swimsuits. However, the Husky swim and dive team are not ready to retire them just yet.
This season, the St. Cloud State women's swim and dive team is making quite the splash, starting off their season 6-1. It's more the same this season, with Andrea Bryson taking first in the 200 freestyle meet and after meet, along with her two teammates Caitlin Heinen and Julie Schmidt making the top 3 of the 200 free. Brooke Calvin is racking up points for the Huskies as she continues to place in the top 2 in both the 200 breaststroke and the 100. And the Huskies will be taking their talents to South Point, Wisconsin this weekend. Since dropping their first meet of the season, the women's swim and dive team has been on a tear, not winning not 1, not 2, not 3, but 6 meets in a row. Their 6-1 record will do battle with University of Wisconsin Stevens Point and Eau Claire, who have yet to participate in a meet this year.
This women's swim and dive team is one of the most successful in recent years. Andrea Bryson and Brooke Calvin are big contributors. Here's a look on their thoughts this season's success. With top swimmers like Andrea Bryson, who continues her success with the 200 freestyle.
One of the main things that I always focus on is endurance, first of all. For me, having a good endurance is always key for me to be comfortable, just knowing that I can have a good, strong back half of the 200.
Brooke Calvin makes her contribution as she continues to finish at the top in breaststroke.
A lot of my stuff I've been working on in practice has been like the little technique bits, so like the fast turns, the pullouts. I haven't made any large changes to my stroke recently, but I think it's the little stuff that'll add up and overall help me drop time this year.
A big contributor to the women's 3-1 record this season is the repeated first place medley relay, an event that has been incredibly strong these last few years.
The medley relay, it's always one of our favorites. There's a great dynamic in the team. We have me, Emily Tiedemann, and me are both upperclassmen, so we bring a lot of just like the maturity. Not that the other two aren't mature, but we've been there before, we've done it before. We were both on the relay at Nationals 2 years ago, so we have that experience.
So the medley relay was really successful before I got here, but I think part of what makes it so successful is the focus on like the team, and that it's bigger than the individual, it's more about the group and about focusing on bettering not only yourself, but being better for the team.
For Husky Mag, I'm Madison Golden. Have big goals for the rest of their season and look to continue dominating in the pool.
The men's swim and diving teams have yet to gain the same sort of momentum the women have. In a meet against the Northern Michigan Wildcats, they were unable to change the script. The lone bright spot for the Huskies, a clean sweep of the 4x50 free relays. The Cardinal Black lost the meet by a final of 169 to 126, and the loss means the men dropped to 0-3 on the season.
The men's swim and dive team is looking for their first win this season, as they also head to Stevens Point. In their last meet, the men dominated in the 200 freestyle relay, taking first overall. They are looking to do that again as they take on Eau Claire, who have only competed in 1 meet so far. Top swimmers from last year include Tristan Ferguson, who looks to help SCSU get their first W of the season.
With the Moorhead football team coming into the game against Moorhead, the Dragons with 2 straight wins, they would be looking to move above 500 for the first time this season. Early in the first quarter, quarterback Nate Meyer, off the play-action pass, would find Jamerson Parsons wide open in the back of the end zone for 6. The Huskies would go off to a 7-0 lead. Later in the first, a rainbow pass from Nate Meyer would fall perfectly into the hands of receiver John Pass from 23 yards out, 20-0 good guys. In the second now, Joe Blando would punch it in from 3 yards out to extend the lead to 27-0. The Dragons would come storming back from there. A beautiful deep ball from Demetrius Carr would find a streaking Hunter Brayton to finally get Moorhead on the board. From there, the Dragons would start breathing fire in the second half. Austin Stone would take it the handoff up the middle off the read option from 3 yards out for the score. Jump to the fourth now. Minnesota Moorhead would attempt to tie the game with a field goal, but the kick was a dead duck, and St. Cloud would maintain their slim lead. Moorhead would eventually briefly take the lead, but Jaden Huff would sniff out the end zone for the game-winning score. The Huskies would go on to win in a thriller 41-38. Meyer aired it out on this one with 378 yards and 3 scores and was only sacked once on 43 dropbacks. John Pass was the beneficiary of many of those passes, hauling in 172 yards with 1 score. Both teams had 27 first downs in the offensive affair, and the Huskies were able to get the victory despite allowing 629 yards of total offense.
Now taking a look at the NSIC standings, St. Cloud State currently is sitting in the 3rd spot overall after coming off a win against Moorhead this past weekend, who are now just below SCSU. The team looks to continue climbing their way up to the top of the standings with only 3 games left in regular season play. The Cardinal and Black have yet to play the top-ranked Duluth Bulldogs, and they will face them in their final game this season here at Husky Stadium. They will also take on the number 2 Bemidji State next weekend at home. These next few games will be a big test for the team, especially since they struggled at the beginning of the season.
Have no fear, Jamison Parsons is here. The preseason All-American has not disappointed this season, and how good has he been? He leads a team with 835 receiving yards, good for 4th in the NSIC. Next on the team, John Pass with just 499, and Parsons' 7 receiving scores are good for 5th in the conference. Not too shabby from the 6th-year senior.
Coming up after the break, we freeze up that water.
As men's hockey finally hits the ice, don't go anywhere. Husky Mag will be right back.
You're watching UTVS, local TV for the Granite City.
Bring us up to 10.
Visit utvsnews.com for all of your local news.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's finally time. The men's hockey team has finally begun regular season play. The Huskies would do battle with in-state rival Minnesota State Mankato. In the first period now, Clint Lewis would find Michael Huntbrinker backdoor to open the scoring in the first period. Now, with 1-0, Brad McClure would find Mark Militkis in the back of the net. He would skate around the net and find Franklin wide open in the slot. Now, score 2-0, 2-on-1. McIlness to McClure would put the Mavericks up 3-0. Later in the second, Peterson would do his best Blake Wheeler impression, and Jake Wallen, the freshman out of White Bear Lake, would clean it up to put the Huskies finally on the board 3-1. Now, in the third period, Max Kawada would give the Mavericks the icing on the cake they needed to put the one away 4-1. St. Cloud would lose this game after Jake Wallen got his first collegiate goal of the season, and Judd Peterson had an assist. Jeff Smith had 20 saves in the contest, but it was not enough as St. Cloud would fall 4-1. In the opening series against the Mavericks, the men's hockey team had a hard time keeping the puck out of the net on the defensive end. The 2 goalies that got action this past weekend was former UMass Lowell netminder Jeff Smith and Apple Valley, Minnesota native Zach Driscoll. The Canadian has a little more size to him, but Driscoll seemingly has the better athletic advantage, moving smoothly between the pipes. You cannot blame the attendees solely on the losses this weekend, as the back check for the Huskies was a little lackluster. Both goalies will have a chance to rebound this weekend against the University of Minnesota Golden Gophers.
The Huskies were looking to redeem themselves on Saturday, hoping to get things going, starting things off in the first period. Clint Lewis would put the Mavericks up 1-0. Then for the Huskies, it's Ryan Papa, and he gets them on the board from freshman Jack Paling. Now it's Huskies again as Blake Winicky from a block shot gets his own rebound and finally hits the back of the net. Now moving into the second period. Jordan Nelson from the Mavericks, the Huskies couldn't quite keep him out of the zone. and he puts it in the back of the net. Now the Huskies get back on the board, and the score is 4-3. Parker Tuami, second of the night, finishes off for the Mavericks. Final score is 4-6. Despite Wienecke and Papa having a goal and an assist each, it would not be quite enough to take this one. After the sweep, it would keep the Mavericks' undefeated streak and move them on to 4-0 for the season so far. Over the last 5 years, the Huskies have completely dominated over the Mavericks, winning 7 of the last 10 games. SESU will not get a chance to redeem themselves in regular season play, as last weekend was the only time they will face Mankato in regular season. Last season was a different story as St. Cloud State swept and shut out Mankato at home, as well as beating them by 1 goal in the North Star Cup.
If you haven't heard, St. Cloud men's hockey played in Mankato this past weekend, and it didn't go nearly as planned. Bobby Bolick has more.
Mankato this past weekend, hoping to pick things up right where they left off.
It blindsided us. We didn't expect this to happen. We came in here thinking that we pick right up where we left off.
Obviously, they're a really offensive team that's found their groove.
The Huskies' struggle came mostly in the defensive zone early on in the series, giving up 10 goals in 5 periods.
I think us older guys need to kind of look at our team and evaluate how we have to play defensively. Last year we could not take it easy, but we had Chuck in the back of the net.
Well, obviously, I think our goalies did their job and played well. Just as a decor and team defensively, I think we need to be better.
The Huskies did manage to generate offense, scoring 5 goals over the weekend by 5 different players. One of these coming from freshman Jake Wallen, picking up his first collegiate goal.
I mean, we were down 2-0, but it didn't feel like we were down by the way we were playing. Then we kind of got 3 goals real quick, and we kind of started feeling good, and then one thing led to another, and they started scoring as well. And
you see Jake Wallen get a goal last night, and I think get another couple points tonight. So that's definitely a positive and something we're going to build off.
But despite the result, the Huskies found many positives to take away from their first couple games of the regular season.
I mean, stay positive. Like, this weekend was a great weekend. We're playing down most of the weekend, and we're going to be playing down further down the road. Like, we can't get down on ourselves. We got a ton of skill up front and on our decor. I mean, we're going to be scoring goals this year, so we just got to stay positive and let everyone's skill take over.
Not the outcome the Huskies were hoping for their first regular season game here at Minnesota State Mankato, but this schedule does not get much easier from here. They play at Mariucci Arena next weekend against the number 10 ranked Gophers, but as Jimmy Schultz said it, they're going to stick to their game plan. They are going to play how Huskies play. I'm Bobby Bullock here at the Verizon Center in Mankato.
The Huskies will be heading to the cities this weekend in a home-and-home, and will try to bounce back against the Gophers after the tough sweep.
Keeping things on the ice as we now take a look at the NCHC standings. Definitely something new this season as Colorado College sits in the top spot, right above Denver. SESU is currently in the 7th spot of the conference, and the Huskies' first NCHC matchup will be on November 4th and 5th down at the Herb Brooks National Hockey Center against the Bulldogs. Colorado College will play in their first NCHC series also on November 4th and 5th against Nebraska Omaha. The NCHC might be a conference of surprises this season.
Hey Madison, do you hunt?
You know what, Jeremy, I don't, but if you're a Husky, it's gopher hunting season.
This Friday, the men's hockey team travels to Mariucci before they come back to the Herb Brooks National Hockey Center on Saturday.
SESU will be looking for their first win this weekend, trying to tighten up the defense.
The Huskies have won 3 of their last 4 games against the Gophers, including a sweep last season in Minneapolis.
Coming up after the break, an SESU soccer player will join me in studio.
Find out who it is coming up next.
You're watching UTVS, local TV for the Granite City. Visit utvsnews.com for all of your local news. Watching UTVS.
We are now joined by Maria Cass from the women's soccer team. Now, first off, you have 8 goals and 3 assists on the season so far. What have you been doing in order to keep up this success?
Definitely trying my best in practice, working hard. My teammates as well, just always the support from my family and friends too. But definitely have to thank my teammates and my coach just for building my confidence and providing me with the opportunities they do. Without them, I wouldn't be as successful as I am.
And what have you specifically been focusing on in practice to help better yourself for the games?
Definitely my fitness has always been a priority for me. I think playing the full 90, Greta pushes us just to play all our best throughout the entire game, not just giving up in the last 15 minutes, just playing our best throughout the entire game. So I'd say my fitness and just my movement off the ball as well.
Now, your team has been very consistent throughout the season so far, keeping games between your opponents very close. What has been working so well on the field?
I would say our movement off the ball works really well. We know what runs to make and where to look. Our passes, our communication, it's been going really well this season. I think it's continuing to build as well. Our communication in practice is definitely something that's important too, so we know whether to critique each other or not and to be honest with one another.
And have you noticed big differences in your communication from this season and last season?
Yes, definitely. I think this year we've definitely bonded a lot more as a team as well and know each other on and off the field, so that helps a lot.
Now, the team has a game on Friday against Augustana. What is going to be necessary in order to get that win?
I would say energy and confidence, and also just focusing on that one game. As long as we keep our eyes on the prize and one game at a time, I think we'll find success.
And now the playoffs are coming up in November. How is the team going to get there and make a strong playoff run this year?
I would say focusing on each practice and building off one another. Like I said, focusing on one game at a time instead of it as a whole, and focusing on that one game at hand, because in order to get to the next game, we need to be successful in that first game.
And what have you noticed differently from this point in the season and the beginning of the season?
I would say at this point of the season, we know each other better, so we know our playing styles more. So it's easier to look for those runs or look through for those passes, and we know each other's playing style, which makes us better as a team as a whole.
And what would you say is the strongest aspect of this Husky soccer team?
Our strongest aspect would definitely be team bonding. We all enjoy being each other's company and playing for one another, so that's always fun.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining us, Maria.
Yeah, thank you.
Having dropped 2 of their last 3, the soccer team was looking to turn things around against Southwest Minnesota State. Senior midfielder Abby McDonald kicked things off for the Huskies early, netting the go-ahead goal in the first half, and the Huskies would ride the 1-0 lead late into the second. But as the decisive 86th minute, the Mustangs' sophomore midfielder Emily Hoffman would net that equalizer that was good enough for the Broncos to escape with the tie after neither team could score in the 2 overtime periods.
The women's soccer team was also in action on Sunday in Sioux Falls, and they would take the win on that one. With Lauren Lefevre putting the only goal on the board, the Huskies would outshoot the Cougars 16-8, but it wouldn't be enough to tie it up. Last season against Sioux Falls, St. Cloud State took a 3-0 win. These NSIC opponents will not meet again for the rest of the regular season, but the Huskies may have a chance for redemption in the NSIC playoffs.
Sitting at 5-3-3, the Huskies have no reason to be ashamed of their conference record. The NSIC is just that strong. That's why St. Cloud sits at 6th in the NSIC. Tops of the leaderboard is Minot State, who has yet to drop a conference match this season at 10-0. Minnesota State Mankato hasn't been too shabby either at 9-2, and Augustana, Bemidji State, and Upper Iowa look down at St. Cloud in the standings with only the head-to-head tiebreaker the Peacocks have over the Huskies. SSU will take on Augustana University this Friday at Husky Stadium at 7 p.m. Augustana currently sits with a 7-6 record overall, while the Cardinal and Black sit at 6-5-3. The Huskies look to finish off the season strong as they only have 4 regular season games remaining. Then they'll make a run in the NSIC tournament, in which last year they fell short in the first round. The NSIC tournament is set to begin on November 3rd. Coming off a win against Moorhead in straight sets, St. Cloud will look to keep the ball rolling against Northern State on Saturday. Northern State had other ideas, however, as the strength of 47 kills and forcing 19 Husky errors, Northern State reversed the Huskies' fortunes and beat St. Cloud in straight sets 25-13, 25-19, and 25-21. Husky senior Macy Weller did their best to thwart the Wolves with 8 kills, 2 blocks, and an ace, but it was not enough.
On Tuesday, the Huskies took on the number 1 ranked Bulldogs for the second time this season. Same opponent and same score, as St. Cloud State would take the 0-3 loss on Tuesday in Duluth. The Bulldogs remained undefeated as Mackenzie Morgan had 11 kills and 2 blocks for the Huskies. Marissa Klein contributed to 22 assists, but it was not enough on Tuesday. This loss lowered the Huskies' season record to 8-13.
Huskies volleyball will be back on the court on Friday against Augustana.
They are looking for a win after coming off 2 losses, one of them being to the top-ranked Duluth Bulldogs.
Last season, SSU fell just short against Augustana, so they are looking for redemption this Friday.
With top players like Nicole Miller and Shannon Klink, the matchup against Augustana should be a close one.
Coming up after the break, find out who the leader of the pack is.
And Blizzard's best. Stay with us.
Some snow turning over to rain as we go through the day tomorrow.
Currently it's 44 degrees. The rain did start to come down again. We had a short break there.
Bring us up to 10.
You're watching UTVS, local TV for the Granite City.
Next up for women's hockey is the in-state rival Minnesota State Mankato. Huskies are coming off a 3-2 victory over North Dakota and have won 2 of their last 4. After winning their first 2 games, the Mavericks have dropped their last 4. St. Cloud is 7th in the WCHA with 3 points, only ahead of said Mavericks, who have yet to pick up a point in conference play.
Big news for the 2-time national champion wrestling team. Former St. Cloud State wrestler Gary Smith was selected to receive a National Wrestling Hall of Fame Lifetime Service Award. Smith is going to be honored along with 7 other wrestlers on April 22, 2017. Smith won back-to-back in IA championships in 1964 and 1965. He also made it to the finals of the Olympic trials in New York City. Despite the national championships and the national award, Smith had never wrestled before college, giving the St. Cloud State wrestling team another thing to be proud of.
This week's leader of the pack is already 3rd all-time in passing yards at St. Cloud State.
Jeremy, that's not a lot. That sounds a lot like Nate Meyer.
You know what, Madison? It sure is.
Nate Meyer earned that title this past weekend against Moorhead as he had 3 passing touchdowns.
Meyer had the deep ball going against the Dragons, averaging 17 yards per completion. His ability to get the ball deep and take the top off the defense was the determining factor in the Huskies' victory over Moorhead.
The 378 yards were a season high for Meyer, and he needed all of those to finally get the Cardinal in black over the 500 mark on the season.
Now, Madison, I don't know about you, but my favorite part of the show is Blizzard's Best.
Yeah, Jeremy, I think I'm going to have to agree with you on that one, so let's jump right into it.
Number 3 play of the week, Blake Winecki takes the shot, gets the rebound, and fires it into the back of the net. to give the Huskies the lead in the ball game against the Mavericks.
Looking at number 2, Nate Meyer is going to throw 23 yards to John Pass, making it 20-0 Huskies.
And now the number 1 play of the week, Judd Peterson gets the puck in the Huskies defensive zone, flies to the neutral zone faster than a flying jet, takes the puck to the slot, and bang, gets the equalizer goal against the Mavericks. Not too bad of a shot, if I must say so myself.
Yeah, I would say that was a pretty good one.
That's all we have for this episode of Husky Mag. For Madison Golden, I'm Jeremy Lagos, and thank you for joining us.
All right. What are you doing?
Watching UTVS, local TV for the Granite City.
Here at UTVS News, we are always ready for a new day.
Welcome to UTVS News tonight at 6 o'clock.
Following the lead. The action.
Bench for the extra attacker, down back,
the tragedies. The unpredictability. And the stories that keep our community informed and together.
UTVS News, local news for the Granite City. Visit UTVS.com and learn more about SCSU's television station. UTVS News, weekdays at 5 and 6. UTVS News, weekdays at 5 and 6. Watching UTVS, local TV for the Granite City. Visit UTVSnews.com for all of your local news. You're watching UTVS, local TV for the Granite City.